The night had already decided to break him, before the rain even started. He sat alone at the far end of a dim bar, shoulders hunched, eyes fixed on a glass he barely touched, carrying the kind of silence that comes from loving deeply and losing even deeper. The world around him kept moving, laughing, clinking glasses. But for him, time had frozen at the moment. His life split into before and after. He was not there to drink, or to forget, or to be seen. He was there because the quiet of his empty apartment hurt more than the noise of strangers, and because some nights loneliness feels heavier when carried alone. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us how one moment can change everything, take a second right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep telling stories that matter. His name was Daniel, and until 3 years ago, his life had been ordinary in the best way. He had been a devoted husband, a proud father, a man who believed that showing up every day was enough to keep the people you loved safe. Then illness came quietly, stayed cruelly, and left him a widower with a 5-year-old daughter who still waited by the door every evening for a mother who was never coming home. Daniel learned quickly how grief does not arrive all at once. It comes in waves. Some days he could manage, packing lunches, tying shoelaces, reading bedtime stories with a steady voice. Other days it knocked the air out of him without warning. Like tonight when his daughter was finally asleep and the walls of his home felt too close. Money had become another shadow following him everywhere. Medical bills had eaten through his savings, and cutting back hours at work to care for his daughter had stalled his career. He wore the same jacket he had owned for years, its elbows slightly worn, its pockets filled with receipts and reminders of things overdue. He had once dreamed of building something meaningful, maybe even his own business, but now his goals were smaller and heavier. Keep the lights on, keep his daughter smiling, keep going. The bar was warm but not comforting, lit with soft amber lights that made everyone look like they were hiding something. Daniel chose it because no one asked questions there. He sat with his thoughts, replaying memories he both cherished and feared losing. He thought about the way his daughter laughed when he pretended to be a monster during bath time, about how she slept clutching her mother's old scarf, about how he promised her every day that things would be okay, even when he was not sure he believed it himself. That was when the night shifted, in a way he could not have predicted. A woman had entered earlier, unnoticed by him at first, carrying herself with calm confidence rather than noise. She wore a simple coat, no flashy jewelry, no need to announce her importance. Most people in the room assumed she was just another tired professional, unwinding after a long day. They did not know she was the CEO of a fast-growing company, a woman who spent her days making decisions that affected thousands of lives. Tonight, she was simply someone who had chosen this bar for the same reason Daniel had. She needed quiet. She noticed him, not because he looked weak, but because he looked tired in a way that went beyond exhaustion. There was a stillness to him, a restraint, as if he had learned to carry pain without letting it spill. She had seen that look before in mirrors and in boardrooms, in people who had survived something and kept going, because stopping was not an option. When she sat near him, it was not curiosity that guided her, but recognition. Without turning the moment into something loud or dramatic, she leaned in close enough that only he could hear her. Her voice was low, steady, and carried an unexpected warmth as she told him to stay with her that night. Not as an invitation of desire, but as a lifeline offered without judgment. The words caught him off guard, not because of what they implied, but because no one had asked him to stay in a long time. People always assumed he was strong enough to leave, to manage, to endure. No one had asked him to simply remain. Daniel did not respond right away. His instinct was to retreat, to protect the fragile balance he had built around himself. Trust felt expensive, and disappointment even more so. But something about her presence felt different. She did not look at him like he was broken or like he needed fixing. She looked at him like he was human. And in that quiet exchange, something inside him softened just enough to breathe. They stayed at the bar longer, not talking much, just sharing the space. The rain outside grew heavier, streaking the windows like tears the sky could not hold back. Daniel felt an unfamiliar sense of safety, the kind that does not demand anything in return. Eventually, he agreed to walk with her, not to escape his life, but to pause it. That night did not change everything, but it changed something important. It reminded him that he was still visible. Over the weeks that followed, their paths crossed again, not by accident, but by a quiet choice they both made. She learned about his daughter, about the lunches packed with love and worry, about the dreams he had buried, because responsibility came first. He learned that behind her title and success was a woman who had sacrificed relationships, sleep, and peace to build something she believed in, only to realize that achievement did not protect you from loneliness. They never rushed. They never labeled what was happening. They simply showed up. Life did not suddenly become easy for Daniel. His struggles did not disappear, and his grief did not dissolve. But he felt less alone carrying it. The woman, whose name was Claire, did not offer him money or solutions. She offered respect. She encouraged him to talk about his ideas, the ones he thought no longer mattered. She listened when he spoke about wanting to create something flexible, something that would allow him to be present for his daughter while still building a future. She saw potential where he had only seen limitations. Months later, when Daniel finally took a risk and pitched an idea for a small community-based service platform, Claire was not the savior people might expect in stories like this. She did not hand him success. She connected him with mentors, asked hard questions, and held him accountable. When he failed, she did not step in to rescue him. She stood beside him and reminded him why he started. That support, steady and unglamorous, changed him more than any miracle ever could. At home, his daughter noticed the change before anyone else. She saw him smile more easily, laugh without forcing it, sleep a little better. She saw him believe again. The house felt warmer, not because life was perfect, but because hope had returned. Daniel realized that healing did not mean forgetting the past. It meant learning how to carry it without letting it crush you. The night at the bar became a quiet turning point he rarely spoke about. It was not a fairy tale, and it was not a rescue. It was a reminder that sometimes the smallest moments, the softest words, can redirect a life. Claire continued to lead her company, grounded by a deeper understanding of what success meant. Daniel continued to build, slowly, imperfectly, but with purpose. Years later, when Daniel looked back on that rainy night, he did not remember the bar or the glass in front of him. He remembered the feeling of being seen when he least expected it. He remembered how staying just for one night had taught him that endurance does not mean isolation. It means allowing others to walk beside you when the road feels too heavy. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness can change lives in quiet ways, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need hope, and subscribe to the channel so these stories can reach more hearts. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment the word hope below and tell us where you are watching from, because your voice matters and your presence here is part of this story too. Daniel never became famous, and his life never turned into a headline. But he became something far more meaningful. He became present, resilient, and open to the unexpected grace of human connection. And sometimes that is the most powerful success of all.